This episode of Stepping into the Light is brought to you by ASEA, groundbreaking technology that reverses aging once and for all. Learn more at juliatreat.teamasea.com. Hello, beautiful. Welcome to Stepping into the Light with Julia Treat. That's me, your host from juliatreat.com. A couple of announcements before I get to this episode. First announcement is that if you are having difficulty getting into the members area to view your courses on my website, I did recently move my platform to, my website to another platform. And for whatever reason, the membership passwords and all of that did not transfer. So if you just send me an email, we'll get that straightened out for you. My email is juliatreat444@gmail.com. I just need the name and email address that you purchased under. I need to know the courses that you purchased and the dates. And you should be able to find that in your email history. Next announcement, I have started my next book, Returning to Light. And I'm reaching out to anyone who has, stories that you may want me to include in the book. Just like my first book, Stepping into the Light, the first half was my life experiences on this spiritual journey. And then the second half were stories of my clients. So if you have stories of something that happened either during a session with me or something that happened that I, projected would happen and that happened, reach out to me again on my email and we will set up a time to get it down on paper. Again, the email is juliatreat444@gmail.com. Make sure that you're subscribed or checking in often because I am changing things up and I'm going to start posting podcasts regularly all through the week again. I meant to have one up earlier this week, but I ran into some technical issues because I'm, taking my podcast over and I've been learning how to do it myself again and just kind of ran into a couple snags, but everything should be straightened out. I will be posting more than once per week, so make sure that you are subscribed or check in often. All right, so moving into the episode, I came across this interview and I got permission from my friends Jay and April to share it with you. And it's, I'm sharing it, number one, because I have a little bit of a gruff voice, if you can tell, a little bit of a sore throat. And, that being one reason, but the bigger reason that this is amazing information that they received from Dr. Hoffman, a naturopath. So Jay and April interviewed Dr. Hoffman, and the things that she had to say about our bodies and what they need and why they need it is golden. All right, I think it's really going to help you understand more about yourself, your body, and what your body needs. I encourage you to listen to the entire interview because all throughout it is just golden nuggets. So without further ado, we'll move into the episode and I will be posting it again very, very soon.
Hello, everybody. How are you? And welcome to Spiritually Raw. And as always, we hope you woke to the most miracle morning and are also having the most fortunate day today. Our good fortune is, and this is really, really a good fortune because who do we have on?
Oh, well, let me tell you, you're going to love this. You guys are going to love this show and you are going to absolutely love Dr. Hoffman. Her name is Dr. Carolyn Hoffman. She has been in the field of natural health for over 20 years. She's a board certified neuropathic doctor, certified natural health professional, also an advanced digestive health specialist. She also specializes in detoxification. She's a practitioner, and she's also on the ASEA Medical Professionals Board, just like a lot of you remember Dr. David. And they do this out of the love of their heart. That is a non-paid, it is a voluntary position because they are so passionate about the experiences that they are receiving and the experiences that all their loved ones are receiving from the ASEA. And Jay, I got to grab something. So hang on one second. Go ahead.
So I will keep our guests entertained while April just flies like that. So Dr. Carolyn Hoffman is just absolutely, and it's really great to have you on here. So all of you know that we've been having this experience with the ASEA and we've been bringing on these experts to really share this with us. This technology, right? It's been around for a while, but now because of the internet, it's starting to get more and more out there. And there you go. There's our lovely blue and white friends right there from the Palladians. So it's a real privilege, Dr. Hoffman, to have you out here. And thank you again for your service and, really the dedication that you're putting into spreading the message about this. This kind of technology, us as interviewers, broadcasters, it's always only been hey, maybe this one day will show up, right? And maybe this will show up, and maybe something like this will happen, or there's something or someone from the heavens or wherever you believe in will come in and bring you something that's like this, and then all of a sudden it's here. So wow, number one, it's just so amazing that it actually is here. We haven't heard about it, so that's pretty cool. And again, so it takes someone like you to come out here and do this. So again, thank you for that.
Thank you so much for all of your dedication. I really would like to start by understanding and learning more about your story and why you, as a doctor, a board certified doctor, why would you, or what happened in your life that you decided to even consider the Asea product?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for inviting me. This is exciting. And I'm just so grateful that, you're out there spreading the word, because, over my time of looking at this, I truly will often say that I think this is the most influential single product that I've ever come across in terms of what it can do for people. My journey into this, some people know that I wasn't at a point in my life when someone first showed it to me back in 2011 that I was open to listening to it, and I was busy doing other things that were fascinating me. I didn't really understand that the area that I was really involved in was also part of redox, but back then, people weren't using this word, and you're still going to see that so many doctors are really not up on what's happening in health science. And so that's probably one of our challenges, is when we talk about this with people, many doctors are not going to know anything about this, and they're certainly not going to know the development in the technology. You look like you had a question there.
Only because you just hit on something. Why? Help us to understand. If this is something that is in all of us, God created us with all of these molecules, these redox molecules in our system, how is it possible that virtually the entire world has hardly ever heard of this, let alone the medical professionals?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think we have to kind of realize that, penicillin took 20 years before it actually got into the marketplace. It was around for 20 years. People didn't know anything about it. So when you have a breakthrough scientifically, there's always going to be a point when no one knows about it, then a few people know about it, then a little larger group of people know about it. It's kind of a pinpoint. We're always at the arrowhead of something that's brand new, and people begin to fall into that knowledge base as it becomes more widespread. But interestingly, we're really still at the beginning of things, even though we're 12 years into this. And part of that is that, redox as a whole, as a phraseology in medicine and biology, really didn't come about and it wasn't being identified until the late 90s. They actually had stumbled across it in the 60s, but they thought of it as useless, a byproduct that was a useless production of ATP production in the mitochondria. So it took until the 90s, when science and the instrumentation was much more powerful, that they could dial down and see these really tiny molecules and begin to realize that they weren't just useless. They literally are essential for us to function at all. I will often say, we came into this world because of a redox molecule. We'll go out of this world when we're no longer producing them. And in between, we either have health or sickness, depending upon the abundance of these signals. And it's this development in science that has propelled the health field to start looking at them, which is why we have so many published studies on what they do, because they're in every single cell of the body. But if you speak to doctors, their training still doesn't really incorporate much on redox. If they're graduated post 2010, those are the ones that will say, oh yeah, we had some classes on redox in our training, but they are still looking at what they do within the human body and their benefit and their function. They're not really noticing or even aware of the fact that scientifically a group of scientists pivoted off of 10 years of research and have actually stabilized them. And that's the breakthrough. It's not that they exist, it's the stabilization, so that for the first time in history, over this last decade, you, me, And, you know, the average person can begin to do something about rebuilding something that's essential to our function and our health.
Very exciting.
You know, some people say the whole, hey, this sounds too good to be true. And usually, and I think I heard Dr. Silverman say this too, usually breakthroughs are come across as something too good to be true. When you take a look at something as simplistic as a blue bottle, and you take a look and say, okay, well, look, I'm just putting back. Is it safe to say it this way, Dr. Hoffman? I'm just kind of putting back what I've been losing throughout all these years, and I'm just refilling myself. I mean, is that too simplistic of a way of looking at it? Am I on?
Yeah, it's perfect, right? I mean, I always say to people, if you were given a car with one gas tank of fuel and it had to last you a lifetime, you think very carefully about what you're doing. But if somebody suddenly said, oh, by the way, they've opened up a gas filling station down the road, so now you can go refill your tank. You know, I mean, that's what we're doing, is we're refilling the supply that we're born with a lot of, but we just lose from the age of, puberty kind of. That's aging. That's why we look at and feel different as we get older, because this is the root of what we're losing. So yeah, it's very simple. We're just rebuilding something that's already in our body. We just don't have as much of as we get older.
So 6 months ago is when we started trying this, right? And
we're just hitting the 6
we're just hitting the 6 month mark, and that up until that point, I've never even heard the word redox.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us the broad brush definition of that for those watching in?
Yeah, so redox, interestingly, I was working in this field in 2010 with nitric oxide, which is the first redox molecule that was established and discovered. But nobody was using the word redox in the same way. So reductants and oxidants are what make up this word scientifically, redox, R-E-D for reductants and O-X for oxidants. Most people are familiar with oxidants, or at least familiar with antioxidants. Mm-hmm. And that's part of this balance. And we have these signals that are part of the energy production of every cell. The mitochondria generates this, and those are the little lifespan batteries, right, that keep us pumping energy so that we can function and do anything. And they also spin off these two things called reductants and oxidants. I think of them very simply as the 911 fire alarm call, right? They send up a signal. And just like if we had a fire alarm in our house that went off, we'd know there was a problem, and we should go do something about it, find out where that problem is, put that fire out and resolve the issue. And that's really what these reductants and oxidants do. They send up a fire alarm and they send in the fire crew to resolve the problem. But when we get older and we have less response, it's like not having enough fire crew to solve the problem and to put out the fire that's going on within the body. And so we get damage and we get disease as a result of it. So we're really just fueling up the body to be able to meet every 911 call of just daily aging and living, or disease function, cells getting out of balance and doing things that we don't want them to do, having conversations that are really unhealthy, and just putting us in this state of dis-ease, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So basically, in a nutshell, I've watched pretty much all of your videos, and for those of you that want to watch more of Dr. Hoffman's videos, make sure to check out her YouTube channel. I'll make sure to put it in the link below. She has an amazing way using analogies to explain all this, so she simplifies it. And basically, in a nutshell, you say that the redox signaling molecules replenish, rejuvenate, and reactivate. And from our own experience, I don't think you could pick three better words, because that's exactly the experiences that we're having within our own lives. We visually actually look younger on the outside, but physically on the interior, it's the best we've ever felt. We're healthier, we're more vibrant, our minds are clear, we run faster, we don't have any issues after working out. I honestly have never felt so great.
Is it like this? Is it like this, Dr. Hoffman, where are we anti-aging, or are we getting back to where we actually should be looking like at our age?
I take it one step further. I mean, we're obviously anti-aging, because we're counteracting the aging process by adding a bigger supply to slow down that natural decline that goes on. But I think, and you would probably agree with me, if we look at people who've used this over, a decade or more, they physically, externally, which is a reflection of internal health, right? They look younger than when they were 10 years ago. So to me, it's not just anti-aging. To me, this is reverse aging. This is like thinking about going down an escalator, right? Which is kind of the aging process. We start at the top at peak performance, and slowly over time we decline. I think of putting this in as interrupting that decline. So one thing we're doing is slowing down the speed at which we go. But I think if you can really rebuild enough and you're very focused on what you do, I have this visual where we turn around on that escalator and we start to creep our way back up. You know, I think that that's what's happening. I mean, if I look at myself 5 years on, I know that externally I look different than I did 5 years ago. And external wrinkles are a reflection of the wrinkles on the inside of the human body.
That's true.
Right? No, because this is aging that you're seeing. It's visible aging, but your organs age in the same way. We just don't see that. We might eventually feel it, right? Because health is an abundance of healthy cells. So the larger percentage of healthy cells we can have in the body, the smaller space there is available for unhealthy cells.
You have an amazing image of an older woman on one of your videos. I think she's like 83.
Yeah.
I think it goes up to like 91. And at 83, she looks like she's 83. I mean, it looks like she's really close to the edge there, right?
No.
But at 91, she looks miraculous.
Right. And I love to show that because I've worked with so many products over 20 years, but there is nothing that I've ever been able to show that you could take someone. She's actually 84 in that first photo that we have of her. And you're right, that last one is 91. She's 92 currently. I've actually got to pull another photo in of her. And I say, where is it in the world where you can take something that you can move somebody from 84? And as you said, she looks like an old 84. Yeah, she's extremely wrinkly, very sallow, loads of inflammation in the face. The life in the human body is also contracting. If you look at the life in the eyes, the spirit, it's already going inward. Mm-hmm. And then you look at her at 91. It's like she's come alive. She looks younger. She's not as wrinkly. Vibrant. Yeah. I mean, where can you do that? I mean, well, what can you can't take a pill I've never come across a pill that does that.
I want to, if you can help us clear up some of the questions people have and maybe some of the misnomers of this, if you would. So number one is, people talk about like, how could this interfere? Could this interfere with their current, their supplements, their medicines that they take? And, is there anything that they need to look out for from your experience when you're advising people to look, when they're taking this with other med supplements?
Yeah, great question. This is the only product that I've ever been able to safely advise anyone to be able to take if they're on medication. And why is that? Because we have clinical studies on it. So we know a number of things that are really important. One is it's non-toxic. So you could drink a whole bottle. We would hope that your health doesn't require that. But sometimes people are in a really bad way. They've got a large renovation project. And so they need a large crew. And that's really the equivalent. So it's non-toxic. You can drink as much as you want. You can't be allergic to it because you, me, pets, and plants function because of it, right? We're only alive because we're generating it. And the cool piece is it is it's transparent to medication. So in other words, it doesn't interfere with anything someone's taking. So that is really cool because it's safe and it's not harmful. So we know it has a safety record that's perfect. You have a couple of caveats, I think, if people are doing medication or if they've got particular issues. One would be if you're doing blood sugar medication, you need to make sure that you're taking your blood sugar markers, because if you start to see your body wake up and do things it used to do years ago, you might not need as much medication. And so you'd want to check your markers on that. And blood pressure is probably the only other one that I take in a little slower than generally, not because it's harmful. It's just that when people start to get healthy, sometimes that cleans things out. And we want to just take that a little slower for the clean out process so that we don't to kind of change anything too abruptly. But it's, it's safe for everyone. So that's a really cool piece.
Do you think like I started off with the 4 ounces twice a day because I think they refer to it as a magic 8 formula because I wanted to know. Okay. I wanted to really feel it, and I wanted to know and I signed up. I said, for me, I'm going to give this a proper 3-month go. Okay.
Yep.
And that's what I did. But I did want to know at the same time that in month 2 that I was like, okay, I got this. So I jumped up right out of the gates. What do you suggest on that? That was my own personal experience. I decided to do that. What is your view on that one? Because I know the bottle says take 2 ounces twice a day. I take 4 ounces twice a day. What's your view on that? And I'm a pretty healthy guy, I think.
Yeah. For most people, we would start them on what the bottle says, 4 ounces a day for maybe the first week, and kind of just benchmark everything about your health, because you could come in with one major focus, like you've got knee challenges, you're trying to avoid an operation, but it may be that your knee's going to take 3 or 4 months to do its repair, because we need to remember we're just giving fuel to the body to do what it's designed to do naturally. So this is not about it's going to cure it, it's going to support your body to do the healing, because that's how we're designed. But it could be that, you sleep better at the end of the first week, or maybe you're not getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, all those kinds of subtle things that are going to change. So benchmark. If you haven't seen anything change, maybe about 15 to 20% of people will see something in that first week. The magic 8 is that kind of clinical amount. We do all our clinical studies on 8, and that's really just refueling your tank a little quicker. And when you've got more troops, right, you can renovate faster. So you see things happen quicker. And so that is a kind of great validating thing. Try it for the first month. See where you're at the end of the first month. If you've had your big aha, you may be able to come back to 6 ounces or 4 ounces to find your sweet spot. And I think I heard somebody say something like, sleep number beds, right? You find the number that's perfect for the way that you want to sleep. That's the same with this, right? We find the number on a daily basis that suits our optimal health.
It's really interesting. Obviously, we're spiritually raw, and the listeners that are watching, we're also, connected on all different levels from all different types of spirituality. And what we're finding with the people that are purchasing it, they are having very quick positive results. And I was just talking to Danielle the other day because, we talk to her frequently, and she's seeing and hearing all of our customers are having these just amazing results very quickly. And she said, I've never seen this ever happen this fast before, with the exception of one other group that were, they were praying. It was like a church group, and they were praying, and they had very rapid results. And I'm just curious as to, the mind, and you're, putting out the intention of that something like this is available to us and it is going to heal us. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the frequency of redox is the frequency of health. Okay? And I think if you have people who are particularly spiritually developed and cognitively very developed and mindful, we know that their resonant frequency is going to be higher than someone who's not in an optimistic or a positive mindset. And sickness also kind of pulls down that frequency within the cells. So to me, it's like plugging into the perfect energetic frequency, right? And I find that if you work with people who are much more in touch with their body and focused mentally on things, they're probably going to be very sensitive to the shift that they're seeing very quickly. And I'm sure that this is just, frequencies attract, right?
Yeah.
So we're bringing in that beautiful energetic frequency that is powering up the cells, and, they're probably going to lift themselves back up to where they need to get to pretty quickly as a result.
What do you think? What do you think talking to a lot of people? Because again, it gets back to that. If this is, maybe this is too good to be true for people, and people are experiencing it, and look, we're seeing it in a very short period of time, which is why we are continuing doing these shows. You've obviously been doing it for a while out there in the front line of this. What do you think the biggest challenge, like people like us talking about it, are facing to really get the message out to people that are watching here to say, hey, this is a real legit thing? What do you think it is? Do you think it has something to do with the the ego, or is it too good to be true? What's your view on this?
I think it's a mixture of things, right? I think the challenge is the too good to be true piece. And I have to say, it took me about a year to kind of wrap my brain around things, right? Why is it we see such a wide variety of things change with one product? That's part of the too good to be true. How can one thing do all these? Well, the reason is because we're working in every cell. So it's no longer about, well, we're working with the lungs, or we're working with the adrenals, or we're working with the whatever that has a name. We're working uniformly in the operating system of the human body. So wherever there's dysfunction, we can help empower the body to get conversation working again and get healing kick-started. So it's not about any one area. It's why we affect so much. So that's what's so exciting about what we have. The other side is labeling, right? We're all very attuned to looking at ingredients, because if we think about supplements where we're actually ingesting capsules, those are physical ingredients. And everybody's used to seeing a labeling that says how much of it you should take on a daily basis and what's in the capsule. And so it's a real hard mental switch to go from physical ingredients to chemical frequency, right? If we think about what we have there, we're not, redox molecules are not something you can hold on to. So they're suspended as a catalyst that is going to activate when it comes in contact with us. That's a very different way about thinking about what we're doing. It's not ingredients, but what do people do? They look on the label, right, and they see salt and water, and they go, well, I mean, you know, who wouldn't, right? You're used to seeing ingredients. And here's what I have to say about this. If you were going to bake a pound cake, you would take ingredients. Right? If someone, and you saw those things of butter and sugar and flour, or whatever they are, you baked it, it goes through a transformation. And at the end of it, you have something different. And if someone said, what are you eating? You'd say pound cake. You wouldn't say butter and sugar and eggs. This goes through a 3.5-day electrical processing transformation. And the salt and the water are the beginning ingredients that are transformed into something different. By the time we finish 3.5 days later, the salt is only there for shifting pH. It's not there in a quantity. It's, you know, you have the equivalent of sodium as the equivalent of like one slice of bread, right, in a daily consumption. So when people think, well, I'm on a sodium restricted diet, this is not dietary sodium. We're not taking a glass of water and pouring salt in it and that's what you're drinking. We're transforming it using electrical frequencies, as the body does, to break bonds and reconfigure. And now we have this brilliant breakthrough. I mean, it's kind of amazing. It's like having fireworks, sparklers kind of condensed in a box ready to be used, you know, and these are highly active signaling molecules that work when we drink them. We're the catalyst. Now they signal, but we're not breaking down anything when we consume it. We're not trying to change that capsule and those materials and break them in our stomach and deliver them to our tissues. We're already signaling once it hits the mouth. So I think there's some challenges, because this is a field that people aren't used to working in. This is a whole area that is not common, and people relate it to something that they know, and they apply the principles of what they know to something that is entirely different. So you're comparing apples and oranges and coming up with the wrong answers in people's minds very often.
So are they actually, I'm sorry if there's a feedback, recalibrating ourselves? And how are the cells actually communicating with one another?
Visual I will give you. We've all seen a spider's web, right? We have a spider on one side. We have a fly that lands on the other. Does the spider have to walk all the way around the web to know that the fly arrived? No, because the communication is across the web. Mm-hmm. Right? We think about the internet as a web, right? Communication is everywhere simultaneously. The human body is the same. We are an interconnected communicating mechanism. When we put something in the mouth, it doesn't pass that piece of information all the way down to the feet. The feet know already that the information, what we need, is already there. And you can think about nitroglycerin. If somebody has angina, right, they have an attack, they put nitroglycerin under the tongue. There's a neurolingual pathway that goes to the brain that passes a piece of information. The body already knows it's there. It's not delivering that nitroglycerin that quickly. It's communicating through the cells. So we are an interconnected network. The moment it's in the mouth, we're already rebooting the signaling and providing much more amplification of communication, so the cells hear more clearly.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. So people talk about, so there's no interactions, there's no side effects per se, but then people do talk about somewhat of a detox effect. Can you explain to us what's going on in their system?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that gets triggered maybe, or how does that work?
Well, here's the thing. A cell should naturally detox. When it's healthy, nutrients in, bad stuff out. That should go on all the time. A cell should breathe, so to speak. When we're out of balance, that stops, which is why things get stuck inside the cells. Now, if you give the body something that enables it to do better what it should be doing, you're going to open up that mechanism again. And so we open the cells and we begin to clean the cells out. We release the stuff that's trapped. High doses of vitamin C will do the same thing, right? There's lots of things that help cells begin to function. So we are helping the cells to get back to it. Now, some people might feel that clean out a little more than others. If you're very toxic, first off, well done. It needs to happen, right? If we want to get healthy, we have to get the junk out. You can't achieve health if you've got all that stuff stuck in there. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't always feel completely comfortable, although I will say that I think with ASEA, it has the most mild detoxification experience of anything that I've come across. But, it can still be that we feel a little achy because there's junk coming out. Maybe we feel a little sluggish. Maybe the body says, let's dump this, and we have a little bit of diarrhea. Those are perfectly okay things. They just might not always feel so comfortable, but that might be over in a day for some people. So just, recognize that maybe if you feel tired, it's because your body's got a bigger burden. It's trying to help clear you out. Give it some rest, let it do that. Drink more water, let it, come out. It's all a normal process. And we don't know what each person will experience because we don't know how toxic each person is.
Exactly. Thank you so much for clarifying that, because I believe when people understand going into it, I may at some point start to feel detoxification. I might get a little headache or tired, fatigue, whatever. And then when you're aware of it, you can realize, oh, it's because my body is detoxing, instead of like, oh no, I'm going to stop doing that because it's making me sick. Right.
No, it's absolutely not it's making you healthy. It's actually doing the job that your body hasn't been able to do. And that's why you've got everything stuck inside. If you want to get to the other side of where you are to optimal health, you have to clean the cells. There's no choice between that. So you can either be squeamish and say, well, I'm going to stop drinking it. Well, okay, so what's that going to do? Well, now you're just going to stay in ill health for longer.
Exactly. You're prolonging it. Just get through it, get it done, and know that that too shall pass, and it most likely will pass very quickly.
So let's talk, if we can, about this the instant gratification, which many people call about this.
Yes.
28. So is this without being able to take it, ingesting it? I can imagine you're not supposed to ingest it, right? Just to make sure.
It's not designed as a food source, obviously, although I will say my cats love it.
They do. Okay.
Oh, wow.
But this is designed as an instant thing. So is it that this, you're saying, okay, all right, if I have discomfort in my shoulder, you'll put it there. And then there's this whole theory. I'd like if you can explain this to us, the rub it in 3 times in 5 minutes. So is that kind of like a minute and a half, rub it in, a minute and a half, rub it in, a minute and a half, rub it in, and wait for it kind of thing? Like, can you help us understand that a little tighter?
So signals of discomfort are an imbalance in redox. right? We wouldn't have that if the body was to respond to that 911 call. So the beautiful thing about this is it's concentrated redox. And so where we have a conversation that's stopped and we're hurting or we don't have the same kind of range of motion, we can apply that right where the problem is and help to kickstart the conversation, elevate the communication in the cells, allow the body to say, oh, I've now got resources, I can get things moving and I can do something with it. The 3 times in 5 minutes is interesting. I mean, this was the product that gave me the validation and why I came into, sharing this on a regular basis, because I took this into my practice, right? And I said to everybody who had anything that hurt, I'm trying out something new. Can you give me feedback? And we did exactly this. We rated the level of discomfort 1 to 10. 10 is obviously really severe. 1 is just not. Maybe it was range of motion. We took photographs of everything to do comparisons. And we did the 3 times in 5 minutes piece. Now, you can be very pedantic if you want. I've had people who've set a timer, right? Like, they've applied it 2 minutes later, they've applied it 2 minutes later, they've applied it, and then we wait another 5 minutes. I've had people who just do it, ad hoc. I think the longer you're in it, the less specific you become. You just apply it. But 3 times in 5 minutes seems to be an optimal way in giving a large percentage of people a very quick experience in what it's like to get the cells functioning again, to get them talking, to get them doing their natural healing process, and watch what happens when we restore that function in that site. Now, this is very specific, right? This is the anti-aging piece, of course. So, we might
talk about next.
Yeah, right. And that's the but it's got this unique way when we use this 3 times in 5 minutes, wait 5 minutes and come back and check it out. Dr. Silverman, as you said, who you've had on this call, he was the one who said to me, whilst you're waiting for your aha experience with the blue bottle, which you won't necessarily get in 10 minutes, right? And it may take a month or whatever, depending upon, because it's a much deeper approach to what we're doing. Go put this on 10 people and build your own belief on what it can be. And I did that. And it didn't matter whether they were about to have a hip replacement issue, whether they had congested sinuses, whether they had severe head discomfort, whether it was broken toes with bruising. It changed it for everyone. And sometimes it went from really astonishing changes from like an 8 to a 0 in 2 minutes that just blew me out of the water. It was like, what the heck is this? It's not an analgesic. And I think that's important that we should say that. It's not anything like icy hot or anything that's just going to bring just circulation. This is helping your cells begin that conversation so that it can deal with that problem and reset the healing mechanism there. I love this product. I mean, it's phenomenal.
This product, well, listen, both of these are absolutely incredible because it's working. The blue bottle is working from the inside, and this little tube right here is doing miraculous things on the outside. And from working on the computer all day long, I used to always get tension in my neck, like a big lump, and carpal tunnel, the wrist, the hand, the whole thing. I've had no issues. When I use this all throughout the day, I put it on my face in the morning and I put it on my face, my neck, my hands, my legs, everything twice. But if throughout the day, if I ever do have any type of discomfort, all you got literally 1, 2, 3, and you're ready to go. But for those that, for the discomfort, the instant gratification for the discomfort, yes, 3 times in 5 minutes and you're going to feel like amazing. But if you want instant gratification for your face, you want instant gratification for your neck, your chest, your hands.
This works on the hair. Work on the hair.
This is miraculous. And I've also noticed too, it has literally brought the life back to my tattoo. It's brought life back to the ink in my tattoo. It's made it brighter.
Wow, that's it. I haven't heard that one before. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's all sorts of cool experiences that are happening. I would share with you, Dr. Hoffman. I mean, it is it's a true spiritual experience. It really is. So it's not just you talk about the physical and the effects there. And I know that there's been so much studies with people with brain disorders or nervous disorders. And I know we can't make any claims, all that stuff that goes along with that. But there's been a lot of stuff there that people are getting that. And again, is it as simple again as it's just, hey, we're just, like you said, got the gas back in the engine, so it all lights up. There's a spider web now that can actually see where the other cells are that need the 9116. That's really as simple as that. And it's really our egos that get in the way that complicate things for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we head wig ourselves out of this. Well, it can't be that simple, right? But if you think about what you said in the spiritual piece, that makes common sense. I mean, this is the spark of life. Yeah. I think it's really interesting to know that at the moment we have conception between an egg and a sperm, there is a light mechanism that goes off. That is a redox molecule. And it's a signal to protect that cell and no longer allow any other sperm in there because we have conception.
You know what's interesting? We're in the business of interviewing a lot of spiritual guides, mystics, psychics, whatever you want to call them, all that, right? And we notice with consistency, the ones that have been using this, they come to us and let us know that, hey, their guidance is so much better to their clients. Their intuition, their discernment is so much better for not only for them but for their clients that they do for a living. So this really has opening up the pineal gland, maybe. Yeah, is that a possibility there?
Why not? Redox is the communication of every cell of the body, and that doesn't exclude the pineal gland.
Exactly.
Yeah. So why not?
Totally. And the other thing that we're hearing over and over and over again is, I've been told I need to get this. This is what I've been hearing from my ascended master, from my higher self, from spirit source, whatever the person is connecting with. But they are saying before they even get it, that they knew that this is what they have been told, telepathically, that their body needs.
Isn't that interesting?
It's a beautiful.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's incredible.
It really is a beautiful experience, and we really hope and pray that people get out of their own way and take a serious look at this for them and their loved ones, so they can be the better version of themselves for them and their loved ones.
Right. And to your point about the get out of their way, and look, I think it's also because it's not sold in a traditional way, right? It's not on the shelves, but then who would understand it? Let's face it, everyone would just pick up a label and you'd see sodium chloride and water. Why am I going to buy salt water, right? That wouldn't make sense. This has a huge story behind it because it was going to be sold to a pharmaceutical company who wanted it taken off the market so that the average person couldn't use it. So there's a huge story there that is not behind, most of these things that get out there. And the other side of it is that I find that when you have breakthroughs that are ahead of their time, they're 20 years ahead of where we are. I mean, I moved into magnetic therapy, back in the late 90s. It's taken 20 years before we see magnetic therapy end up into hospitals, because it takes that kind of time when something's so new for it to be embraced in a different way. But I think the marketing of having one location that creates it for the world and sends it directly to each client is not what people normally expect. And so they will you get this thing, well, if it was so good, everyone would know about it. I'm sure you've heard that one as well, right? That's not true. And, I know that David loves to use the example of a light bulb, right? There were only a few people in the room when the light bulb was first demonstrated that knew about it. There was a time when plenty of the world thought that the world was still square, flat, right? And others thought it was round. It doesn't mean that everyone knows about it. When we're at the beginning of something, it takes a long time for new science to be adopted and for the word to get out. Maybe it would be more widely known if we were using typical marketing and advertising, but this is so unique that kind of method really wouldn't be beneficial at all.
It's an experience. It's truly an experience. And the best way to get it, we feel the best way to get it out. Well, first of all, we feel we owe it to everyone that we know and love, and all the people that listen, that we truly owe it to the world to bring this out, because we're in the public and we're having miraculous results. And why on earth wouldn't we want to share? Why on earth would we not want everyone to know about something that can make such a huge dramatic shift in their lives? And you don't need surgery. Well, I'm not saying you won't need surgery, but you know, I'm saying it's not like surgery where you be going, you know, it's a whole process. This is something that can be implemented in your life.
Are you walking back a medical claim?
No,
Is that what you're doing?
claims, you can't make any claims. I didn't mean it like that at all. That wasn't what I meant. What I'm saying is there's like it's something that can be implemented in your life right here, right now. You know, the longest time we've all been hearing about the quantum financial system, the quantum medical system, the quantum healing, the quantum. Well, here, this is it right now.
Oh, yes.
This is a quantum cellular healing technology that has been given to us by the powers that be. You know, you're the creator, divine intelligence, and it's been telepathically delivered to people with great minds that have been able to interpret it and then stabilize it. But it is right here, right now. This is the cellular quantum technology that all of us, and the med bed. This is like a med bed, and these are like literally med bed, the med bed in a bottle, and med bed in a little tube right here. I wanted to ask you, I know you talked about in your other show, the 4 principles that dictate redox. So I have just quick 4 questions for you, please. Why is BioAgilytix important?
Bioagilytics?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, if people are in the drug industry, we know that drugs get third-party validated. Why did they do that? Because every one of them has the potential to kill us, to cause side effects, all of those things. And so the FDA requires those kinds of things to be tested for purity, solvency, and consistency. In other words, every single tablet is made to the same level so they can know what they're doing with those drugs. When you move into the nutritional industry, that's not required. All right, people love to think that the FDA, well, is it FDA approved? The FDA does not approve nutritional supplements. They might control some of the manufacturing of it, but they don't control the actual standardization, which most people are not really aware of. So you can buy products that are, especially when we're thinking about capsules and things like that. And we know from testing, unless it's made at third-party standards, only 60% of what's on the label actually has to be in the bottle. Not even in the capsules, only in the bottle. So when you go to third-party standardization, it makes a huge difference because they're going to guarantee those same standards. BioAgilytix does about 80% of the FDA-required testing for drugs. It's very rare that they test anyone and give validation to their product in the nutritional arena because it's a very high standard of approval, so to speak, a stamp of approval. And on every bottle, you will see what you talked about, the BioAgilytix label. And that is because every batch of ASEA is not only tested in our own scientific laboratories by our PhDs for tremendously rigorous standards of production, but it all goes out to this third-party independent laboratory. They test everything and they validate that what you're buying is not just those ingredients, salt water, right? It's bioactive, stabilized redox signaling molecules, right, ready for usage in our body. And so, in other words, I would say it's like a third-party guarantee that you are getting what you're paying for.
You know, there's a real, again, I'm so blown away just even like when I picked this bottle up and we talked about it. And if you asked me 6 months ago, there's no way I would ever think that we'd be having conversations, right? But here we are, never. So, you know, I want to say to the people out there that are watching is just that there's real dark forces, energy out here that really put stuff in your mind that make you feel like you might be doing something like, not another one of those. And it's not like that. You'll know when you actually feel this, go to your gut, go to your heart, wherever that feels like. But I think that, you know, you've seen this young lady here, you know, you watch us, you've seen Dr. David, you've seen Danielle, you've seen so many people. I mean, look at us. It's like we wake up every day and we get younger. Mm-hmm. Do you get to say that? You know what I mean? Seriously, and we are. This is a real phenomenon that's happening here. So I just want to encourage you again. I mean, the best way for me to talk it, because we're talking about, is like, you know, that this is the thing that we've been speaking about for so many years. And I think the fact that it's actually shows up here now, kind of like people are like, oh man, it really is. Now what do I do with it? You know what I mean? It's like they get that feeling, but it is here. And so what you do with it is you just take it. and you take it twice a day or 4 times. It's really all you do. It's as simple as that. It's here, and just know that we are blessed right now.
Now let's put a little caveat there, Jay.
What?
This is only for those of you that are out there that are looking for a change in your lifestyle. If you're looking for an improvement in your life, if you're not looking for an improvement in your life, this is not what you want.
Yeah.
Stay away, because it's going to make your life a lot better. I promise.
It makes your life a lot better in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, too, Dr. Hoffman, it's very. I noticed like it's very hard to lower your vibration with this. Your vibrations stay high, and I think a lot of the key in manifestation, just is staying there. It's hard to stay there. It is hard to keep your vibes high, and this keeps your vibes high
and balanced,
and it keeps you attracted with the universe, so you can start to manifest those things I think you're looking for. What do you think about that?
I think it's true. That's so true. And I would kind of reflect back to the challenge that so many people have had in being able to do that during the last couple of years with what's gone on, right? And yet the community that embrace this uniformly demonstrate that kind of outlook in being able to be totally positive through things, feel comfortable in where we're at, maintain that high frequency. And you attract other people to your space, and, you find your tribe who are, as you say, wanting to improve things in their life, to be proactive. And sometimes it's because we're sick, but hopefully it's not just that. To me, I think the most powerful thing is to just look at this and go, well, that's a no-brainer, right? Why wouldn't you? It's no different than eating food every day. We got to have food for energy. We need this to be able to mobilize. And to come to your point, when we use this is the labor that enables our body to utilize the food that we eat and the supplements that we take. And it elevates everything.
I'm so glad you said that, because what I've noticed, what actually both of us have really noticed, it has altered our eating habits.
Yes.
It has really cut the sugar craving way down. And it's because we're feeling better and we know we're looking better, it's making us want to eat much better, eat healthier, eat more greens, cut out the sugar. We've cut out so much of the carbohydrates. We've really cut out so much, like, not that we eat a lot of it, but even chicken and beef, because we don't have that craving.
Yeah.
It
right.
is wild. Yeah, it is wild like that.
Especially sugar.
And it's an organic feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, we definitely should.
We were sugarholics, like literally addicted.
Well,
one of those pieces that's the serotonin marker. And so if we look at the genetic study, serotonin is one of the things that gets hit there. People crave sugar because they're trying to fill those serotonin receptors. So if we can elevate that genetic expression, which we do, we're going to feel happier. We're going to feel more replete. We're not going to be craving all of that as fuel, because our body's providing more fuel in the normal way of things. So yeah, I can absolutely agree. I've kind of shifted over the last 2 years in the way that I eat. And I'm astonished, for people who love to do keto or intermittent fasting, this actually activates that pathway. Those Saturn genes get activated. Yeah. So you can really, I'm astonished. Sometimes my husband will come home in the evening and maybe I've been working all day, and been on Zooms all day, and I kind of parked myself in the morning and I'm still sitting there in the evening, and he says, did you eat today? And I was like, oh, no, I actually didn't eat today at all.
Yeah, yes. It's really.
Definitely you're able to sustain your energy all throughout the day without consuming food.
Yeah, I know. How does that? It's really amazing.
It's so amazing. It's like your body's going from that the dense carbon base to the real crystalline base, which is getting that really light body spirit. Dr. Carolyn Hoffman, you're a true soul sister, and I want to thank you on behalf of all of us for your service and dedication to really helping us all in our journey called life. So much love to you on that. Dr. Hoffman, any final words for those before you love and leave us?
Truly, if sometimes I think people may have to make choices about what they're doing with their money, right? That's the space that they sometimes will talk about, where if you have to make choices, this is the place to go. right? Honestly, this is the place to go because this is the foundation of everything else. If we don't have this, it doesn't really matter how much we throw all the other things at the body. In fact, my experience is that every one of my patients has been able to consume less of other things and do much better as a result of it. But we don't live without these signals, so why wouldn't you want them to be as strong and as efficient as possible?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You can't put a price on your health tag, on your
Oh,
health.
no.
Your health, if you don't have your health, you have absolutely nothing. You could have $1 billion, but if you're sick as a dog, what good is it for you? Thank you so much. We appreciate all of your love, all of your dedication to humanity, and for sharing your valuable time with us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And together with Dr. Hoffman and Asaya, we are turning the universal key to global harmony, and we are creating a unified world. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your beautiful dreams come true. Many blessings.
Don't wait another minute to take your body back. ASEA makes it super easy. Get started today at juliatreat.teamasia.com.